All right, so I'll call this meeting to order. So confirmation of the agenda. So looking for a motion that the North Huron Police Services Board hereby accept the agenda for the March 15th, 2022 Police Services Board meeting as presented. So Vice Chair McBurney moves that, and seconder. Member Middleton seconds that. All in favor? Carries. Disclosure of pecuniary interests. So none noted. So the next item of business is the election of the chair and vice chair. So the appointments would be for the duration of the 2022 term up until the end of this current term of council. So I'll open the floor for nominations for the office of chair. So Member McBurney.
I would like to nominate Trevor Sipe for the position of chair.
I'll second that. How do you feel, Trevor?
I'll vote.
So I'll call for nominations from the floor for the office of chair a second time. So none noted. And I'll call for nominations from the floor for the office of chair for a third and final time. So none noted. So looking for a motion that the North Huron Police Services Board hereby appoints board member Sipe for the office of chairperson for 2022. And so Member McBurney moved that, and that was seconded by Member McGrath. So all in favor? So that carries. So next item of business is the election of vice chair. So I'll open the floor for nominations for the office of vice chair for a first time here.
I would so move that Mr. McBurney remain as vice chair.
So board member McGrath nominates board member McBurney. So I'll call for nominations for a second time. So none noted. And I'll call for nominations a third and final time for the office of vice chair. So none noted. So I'm looking for a motion that the North Huron Police Services Board hereby appoints board member McBurney for the office of chairperson for 2022. And so Member McGrath moved that. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second that.
Member Middleton seconds. All in favor? So that carries. So Chair Sipe, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Secretary Lamb. Due to the elections, I did want to just step back and acknowledge that the land in which we gather is a traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Waki, Ottawa, and Mississauga peoples. We'll just move on to the minutes of the previous meeting, which was held on December the 21st. It was presented to everybody in their package. Do I have a mover to move those minutes? I've got Member McGrath moving, and I've got Vice Chair McBurney seconding. Any questions? All those in favor of those minutes? Carried. Okay, we'll move on to, we don't have any delegations. Was there any business arising from the minutes? Not seeing any. We'll move on to 8.1, which is the detachment commander's report. So I will pass it on to Inspector Yoon to provide that report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to the board. So as you're aware, this report's going to cover December of 2021 and then cover the first 2 months of this year for 2022. And did a new title page for your report. Hopefully you like it.
Ready?
Comes in color if you need it. See most of it in black and white there, but that's fine. You get the idea. So page 1 in your report indicates the obligated duty hours for 2022, and you can see they're pretty much comparable to years previous. They fluctuate up and down depending on, you know, on how things go. I will make mention, certainly in the month of February, and just the end of January into February, you'll appreciate the number of deployments, myself included, across the province of Ontario in Ottawa, the Ambassador Bridge, Lambton County at the Blue Water Bridge. So our detachment contributed significantly to all of those events, and it took a lot of time and a lot of effort, and a lot of money. But I think it's good for you to understand as well from a policing cost standpoint. All of our members who were deployed provincially across the province, that does not equate to a larger bill for the municipality. So part of your billing model there is built into that provincial responsibility. So anytime any members are deployed on out of county, then that's built into the bill. So you don't get billed back for what happened in Ottawa, what happened in Windsor and Lambton County. So some questions have come up about that. So just to be curious about that, that's how that works. So the hours are what they are. Again, you know that in some point in future times, you'll probably receive some sort of remuneration for those hours that you know that we didn't meet, and I'm comfortable with that. If we were actually meeting all of your hours, you would have a significant probably policing issue in your municipality. If I was here 900 hours or so, then you would have a really bad problem here. We'll talk about some of your problems later, but suffice to say, I'm comfortable that you're getting, you know, adequate policing services in the municipality. Your traffic statistics for December, January, and February. We've tried to add these in with our new electronic ticketing and e-warning systems. So in the month of January, you can read the numbers: 10 tickets issued. 14, 10 in January, 8 in February, and then some warnings as well in the month. The corresponding months. Ride programs, we actually did, just added this information after. We did 8 ride checks in the municipality over the course of those 3 months. No impaired drivers identified in that period of time, which is can be a good thing. You can interpret it one of 2 ways. It can be either a good thing, or we just were in the wrong spots and we just didn't get the people at the time. I will tell you, and you're probably aware of this probably more keenly than I am, that Huron County has a significant impaired driving problem. And I've heard it since I've been here in 2015. It seems to be a rite of passage for the younger folks to drink and drive, and sometimes the parental figures encourage that. So you will probably see, and it's already started, our ride programs usually in the county really ramp up around the Christmas holidays. We call it festive ride program, but we've kept them going as best as possible to deal with the problem, because we caught a lot more impaired drivers this past festive ride season than we typically do, which tells me we're probably just hitting the tip of the iceberg. So there's a lot more work and a lot more education to do. But anyway, that's just a bit of an aside. So based on some of the conversations that we had at the Police Services Board meetings in the past, just about police presence in the downtown core of Wingham, we did a little focus patrol in the month of January for 2 weeks. We had about 4 officers conduct a little bit extra patrol time in the downtown core, 9.5 hours. Interestingly enough, it led to the arrest of some individuals, recovery of a stolen motor vehicle, a lot of intelligence gathered in relation to how the criminal subculture works in Wingham, and not only that, but their links to how the drug subculture works in the community. And I can tell you it's alive and well here. I'll address it at the end of the report. The grants that we wrote, the CSP grants that we wrote, will tie into what I believe will be probably a significant initiative once we get the tools for the town of Wingham to see if we can make a significant impact on Wingham. But you'll understand that there are a lot of tentacles that go into Wingham, but there's tentacles that go out of Wingham too. So, but I'll address that a little bit later with the grant. I did include one media release because this was linked into the focus patrol that we did starting January 10th. The media release is in relation to January 13th. with an individual that we are well aware of. A shoplifter reported some stuff stolen from a location here in the town, and it resulted in a significant arrest and some significant charges. So what seems to be sometimes trivial occurrences, candy bars at gas stations that are stolen, result in significant criminal charges because people are moving in and about the community, and these are people that we're well aware of. So I think those are, they're bad news stories, but they're good news stories too, in that we're being able to identify these individuals. So instead of going through your December, January, and February, the Police Services Board reports that you have in front of you, I'm just going to tell you some stories and equate them to how they relate to all of these numbers. Because you can read numbers just as well, or if not better than I can. So I'm just going to go through and address your violent crime, property crime, drugs, and those types of things, and hopefully that'll make for a more entertaining report. So your violent crimes over the course of those 3 months, we investigated one sexual assault. No charges have been laid there yet, but excuse me. But we've got a lot of resources dedicated to that, and we're continuing with that investigation. Over the course of the 3 months, in relation to violent offenses, we investigated 6 different types of assaults, a lot of family disputes, domestic related investigations where we charged 2 individuals. There were 3 cases where we dedicated investigative resources to allegations, but oftentimes people just don't want to pursue charges. Once the police come, they kind of get what they need, somebody either out of the house or whatever, and so we don't lay any charges. And then one occurrence that was unfounded. So an unfounded occurrence in our language means we dedicate resources and we find that there was actually no violation of the law, but it still requires us to go through all the steps and investigate. So the county as a whole, and Wingham and North Huron would be an offshoot of this, it's a very violent county. It's very heavy with domestic violence. There's a trend. I don't particularly like seeing it with firearms. Just specific more so to this municipality. A lot of information of people carrying firearms. So I don't like that trend. And again, that will work into the grant side of things and how we can maybe combat some of that. So sometimes it was always here, but now we're starting to learn and get more information. And I'm not overly thrilled about that information, but it's on our radar. So property crimes, what you'll see for the entirety so far of 2022 is a property crimes rate, clearance rate that's over 20%. So in my mind, when we're at 20%, that's a good clearance rate for property crimes, because it's hard to pin down your stolen shovels, your gas drive-offs, those types of things. So one of our goals actually for this year that I've provided to the detachment is to try and push that property crimes clearance rate to a higher level, somewhere between close to 25%, which is a big ask from me to the members. But if I don't give them some goals and I don't give them some push, then we have to achieve. So that's a good start to the year at over 20%. Some break-in enters from the Esso gas station here in town. Propane cylinders stolen from one of those cages. There's a break-in enter to the old arena on Victoria Street. We always canvass for video, and oftentimes it does certainly help us identify criminals or the perpetrators. We had 2 stolen vehicles that are still outstanding, one of which was a daughter borrowing mom's car and still outstanding, and that young lady would probably be involved in the drug subculture, going here, there, everywhere, and using mom's car in the meantime. 3 theft under occurrences where charges were related. 70%, and this is something I'm probably going to do a little bit more homework on, and will result probably in an increased presence, whether you like it or not, in the downtown core of Wingham, probably when the weather gets a bit better. 70% of the thefts that occur in the community are usually on Josephine Street and Main Street, related to the business core, people in and out, shoplifting, those types of things. So sometimes the store owners don't want to pursue charges, they just want the person out. Sometimes they want the trespass from the store, which is all fine and good. And most of those occurrences is 70% during the day. So I think what you will see from us is a concerted effort in the downtown core, with some extra boots on the ground, some extra foot patrol to be a meet and greet with the shop owners. You may see some of our auxiliary officers here too. But it'll act as a deterrent, hopefully as well. Between those hours when businesses are open. So it's not like they're going to bring in 20 or 30 officers to do that, but it could be just an added, half an hour or an hour on somebody's regular patrol. Get out of your car and walk the streets just to say hello and see if we can deter some victimization, I guess. Some of the frauds that are occurring, interestingly enough, two e-transfers from the town of Lingham to people who wanted to buy a puppy. And I don't know if my kids have even shown them to me, Dad, can we have a puppy? Look, it'll come to the airport in a crate, it's going to be awesome. And of course my spidey senses go off and we say, no, first of all, we don't want another dog, and second of all, it's a scam. But two people in the municipality here over the last 3 months have fallen victim to that scam. So you should probably see your puppy before you pay for it. And then another scam, another phone scam where information is provided to the caller about passport information it lays into the fact that we probably need to do some more education, buyer beware. Just an occurrence this week again where somebody's going to go buy a television for $70, which is a red flag to begin with, and they send the money to hold the television. Well, now they're going here, there, and everywhere trying to find the television that probably never existed in the first place. So please spread the word, and people are more than welcome to give us a call at our detachment if they with phone numbers or people online, and sometimes we'll have a record, or you call the Canadian Anti-Fraud Center, who keep a log of all the people or information related to the people who are scam artists. So the more information that we have, the better, and sometimes we can give some people some insight beforehand. So those are your property crimes, those are your violent crimes. Your drug crimes you're going to see in your billing model are they're not concerning. They're a little bit higher than normal. We did have one drug arrest over the 3 months. Crystal methamphetamine was the drug of choice. And ironically, when we arrested the person we did, it resulted in 2 other people being arrested because they had outstanding warrants in the town. So nothing is ever as it seems to be at first glance. When you start to dig, there's always more. So these are the things that I was concerned about. I know I wasn't here for the actual evaluation. These were the things that I thought were here before we came in. And these are the things that, I guess, a bit of a pledge to the board. These are the things that have my attention now. These are the things that compromise community and public safety. My goal has always been to make criminals as uncomfortable as possible in the community that we live in. So they should always think, maybe today's the day that my door's going to get kicked in. Maybe today's the day when the police officer's going to stop me and arrest me. That may move the problem from one place to another, but if I can keep them all on the run in the entire county of Huron, then I will do that, and maybe they'll go somewhere else. So that is kind of that's my mindset. It doesn't always get executed as best as I can, but that is what it is. I won't go through all of your call for service billing summary reports, a lot of numbers to digest, other than to say you can get a good picture and a good glimpse at where you are if you were under the new billing model. At the end of the report for 2021, you'll see a capture of the comparisons from 2020 to 2021, and you're actually lower in the weighted hours for the year of 2021. So when we make that final transition, which is soon, over to the new billing model, if you're paying whatever, then if the trends keep going on a 4-year rolling average, you want to see those trends keep going down. So it should result in a cost savings for the municipality. So, apart from any specific questions that you have actually about the call for service building summary report, their hours in 2022 are going down too. They're at 591, they're at 332 for January and February, so that's a good trend. The only thing that I would highlight is probably the violent crime on the rise, and some of the drug investigations that we do in the town. Those are particularly weighted significantly higher than a lot of other occurrences, which means it takes a lot of more police resources, which means it's a lot more costly to the municipality to do those investigations. So, but again, I go back to my pledge to you, and the tools that we have, once we have them, it will cost some money to affect some change in criminal behavior in the town. I don't have a crystal ball, I don't know what it will look like, but that will be our goal here. Just a quick overview. So the CSP grants were submitted after a lot of back and forth with the ministry, just between the ministry and myself. I get the feeling, although I certainly can't confirm it because they're not approved yet, I kind of get the feeling you're going to get the same amounts that you got previously. I don't see that changing. What will change is the proportion of money that is allocated to salary dollars versus what I've asked for in the grant for equipment for the OPP. And if I was to just give an approximate percentage, I would say probably 50% of that money I've allocated for wages to officers. So I not only included like mental health officers, I've included a portion of my wage, staff sergeant's wages, the detective's wages, related to what I could make sense of, and what I could rest my head on my pillow at night and agree that it was mostly related to mental health. So the work I do at committees or at an executive level, that percentage of time can go back to the municipality, same with the staff sergeants, the sergeants and all that. So that should be, I think, roughly around $40-something thousand. The other half of that money I've asked for in the grant is related to equipment that is directly involved or related to the emerging gun problem. I wouldn't say you have a gun problem, but something that is a concern. And then our street crimes, our community street crimes unit, so they do our drug investigations, our property crime investigations, and the grant speaks to getting equipment that leverages technology. Like oftentimes if we're going to do surveillance on a house, it takes a number of officers to watch a house for an extended period of time. If we can use technology to our advantage and not have to deploy a bunch of officers, then we can get the same results. Then it costs an investment, but at the back end, it doesn't cost as much in officer wages, but you're using a piece of technology to replace in a way an officer, which ultimately we want to gather grounds to kick a door, right? To shut down direct houses and those types of things. So that's kind of where that rests. That equipment that I think the municipality will end up buying for the OPP, that's how that will work. You'll have to appreciate it probably will be deployed across the county. While we'll try to keep it in Wingham as best as possible, you're going to deploy it because the tentacles of crime go from Wingham to Central Huron to Huron East to South Huron to, so it's a collaborative effort. But I think it speaks well of the municipality of saying we take this stuff seriously and we're ready to put our money where our mouth is, and like Mr. McGrath used to say, take a bite out of crime, and kind of move forward. I will say as well, and I'll just touch on this briefly, is a lot of this work, and this will probably help the chair in a different committee, a lot of the work that we're doing relates back to the community safety and well-being plan. So, and just for your awareness, I'm preparing a bit of just a quick slide deck to show how the OPP and what the OPP are doing with some measurable results, what we're doing to contribute to the community safety and well-being plan. Only because I know that committee is struggling, I will say. So if I can demonstrate what we are doing and where there are potential opportunities, once once that group gets their head settled and where they want to go in strategic directions. But at least suffice to say that I think that plan, we are supporting that plan and moving ahead based on the 4 tenets of that plan. So apart from that, it's my long-winded report for you.
An excellent report. Commander, it's really thorough and really well done.
Good. You like the stories?
I did. Thank you.
Is there any other questions for the detachment commander? I will just add to the detachment commander has mentioned the community safety and well-being plan. That plan, for those who are not aware, has been, in reality, it's been stalled. It's been really stalled with limited, if not no, direction from the province as to how it's supposed to be maintained. There's benchmarking and stuff. We know the reporting aspect of it, but the community or the committee that did the community safety well-being plan as a countywide really are struggling with. We got this plan. We sent it back to each of the lower tier municipalities. Now what do we do? And the lower tier municipalities are wondering what we do as well. So what I would say is there are some lower tier municipalities that are moving things forward in the sense of they're picking an initiative and doing something as, for example, North Huron is actively working with and partnering with the United Way in order to get the connection center up and running, a pilot project here in the town of Wingham. Those are types of things that hit every box on the community safety and well-being plan, and those are kind of the partnerships that we're working on in holding on to some funds that if the group as a collective plan group community safety have a group effort plan they want to do or initiative, then we still have some funds available as a municipality to support those funds as well. So I think, as the detachment commander is mentioning, there's a lot of hands in this pie, and a lot of groups are already doing a lot of excellent work and effort and to make our communities safe and well-being. And really, it's really trying to collaborate and make sure that not everybody's stepping on the same toes that everybody else is doing. So resources are being used wisely because we all know that they're short in supply. So, I think what the detachment commander has mentioned is, I think that information that's being brought to as your slide deck, I think will help. I think it will help the group understand that we have these information, we have these metrics available to us. We may not have a significant initiative. There might be just other groups that have initiatives within the municipality that we just need to report to. And I think that's where I look at it as more of a collaboration committee rather than a boots on the ground heading out to do some initiative, because I think really the municipalities, the lower tier municipalities are going to have the funding. They have to put the funding up because it's not coming from the county. So if there's no other questions for the detachment commander, I agree with Member Middleton. Inspector, you obviously have a passion for here in county. You have a passion for making the criminals of this county concerned. That we're not just going to rest on our morals and continue to work with and provide some feedback and drive to frontline officers to ensure that we're getting somewhere, so that people have a belief that crime is not it doesn't necessarily need to be a media relation issue. We can work on it every day and still be able to believe that when we go walk down the street that we're not going to be a victim of something. So I appreciate your candidness and your effort, as well as the frontline staff of the OPP, because it's not always a thankless, it's not like a thankful job. So So I appreciate what you do and appreciate the information that you give to the board, so. I will take a motion from the board that the North Huron Police Services Board hereby approves the detached commander's report for the March 15th meeting as presented.
Also move.
We got member Middleton moving. I've got Vice Chair McBurney seconding. All those in favor? Carried. Bylaws, we don't have any. Correspondence, there's been no correspondence. Is there any new business that any member wishes to bring forward tonight? Not seeing anything. Opportunity for public comments. There is no public in attendance, so we don't have a closed session. I will say I actually asked the secretary tonight, because I've actually had this question out in the public, is our transitional agreement with the OPP comes due December 31st. So that is probably going to be the newest council, when they are elected in November. They will probably begin the discussion, if not sooner, as to what that looks like. We're still waiting for the province to determine what does a police board look like in the county. Is it the same old like we have had in here, or is it the unified one board across the entire county? So there has not been any direction from the Solicitor General or that. So I mean, until we're told, I mean, we continue to do what we're doing and go from there. So, but it was December 31st of this year that the agreement needs to be renewed or decided upon by the next council. Okay. So if the next meeting, I will say, is the next meeting of the North Huron Police Service Board will be held on Tuesday, June the 21st at 7 p.m. here in the North Huron Town Hall Theater. And if by seeing no further business before the North Huron Police Services Board meeting, I hereby adjourn it at 7:32. Do I have a mover? I've got Member McGrath moving, and I've got Vice Chair McBurney seconding. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, Board.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inspector.
I'm gonna